patiently waiting, I'm passionately smashing every expectation, every action's an act of creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties of sorrow. For the first time I'm thinking past tomorrow. And I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. And you will just like my country, I'm young, scrappy and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. We gon' rise up, time to take a shot. We gon' rise up, time to take a shot. We gon' rise up, rise up. It's time to take a shot. Rise up, rise up. It's time to take a shot. Rise up. It's time to take a shot. Rise up. Take a shot. 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 It's time to take a shot. Time to take a shot. And I am not throwing away my shots.
I definitely could not sleep last night because I was so excited to see you here today.
Oh, man.
Javi, you are a force of nature, and it is my honor to welcome you to AOL Builds.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for coming and seeing this and hanging out today. It's awesome.
So you have a lot of titles that have been bestowed upon you lately. The new Hamilton, Havilton, the sexy Hamilton. And you have a major spotlight shining on you right now as the lead in the biggest show in the world.
Yes.
And yet, I have spent some time with you, and I've talked to a lot of people who have spent time with you, and I have very closely followed your online presence, and you always seem to exude an energy of peace and stability and a total lack of feeling or seeming overwhelmed by this position in which you now exist. How do you do that?
Well, I mean, there's like, I could take you step by step, like just day in and day out, but overall, there's so much to be said for earning a thing, you know, for having opportunity come too soon before you're ready. And that's not the case, right? I didn't have something like Hamilton happen at a time in my life where I wasn't prepared for it, right? We're always dealt the things we are ready to handle and take on, and that's the good and the bad, right? So Hamilton came at a point where I was grounded enough and focused enough, and I feel like I've learned so much from my fellow cast members too about, you know, just day in and day out in Hamilton, what matters most, and not to get lost in any of the hype or anything else. You know, the work always comes first. And then just, you know, personally, I meditate a lot, and I'm really close with my family, and that keeps me focused and grounded, and just the culmination of all the experiences in my journey thus far, I don't think I'd be doing justice to being alive and being well and being strong if I wasn't really present and really focused and doing my best in this situation.
One of the things I admire most about you is how vocal you are about all of the gratitude in your life. Yeah. The recent weeks have seen the departure of some of the original cast members from Hamilton, including its creator, Lin-Manuel Miranda, into whose shoes you have stepped remarkably gracefully. And every time somebody has left, you've posted a beautiful little thank you video on Twitter with a specific story about that person.
Yeah.
What brought you to doing those, to publicly state your gratitude?
Well, I feel like you know, it's the moment Hamilton premiered at the public, our very first preview. You know, it goes from being something that belongs to you, or you feel like it belongs to you, to belonging to everyone, right? So this whole journey, it's become something very special and important in people's lives, and it's become something very meaningful to every individual, you know, on this journey so far. So I felt like a testimony was in order, right? So because we interact so much on social media,
right?
And so it just felt right to sort of give each person a send-off that folks who love the show and follow the journey could sort of see inside a little bit deeper what those relationships are, and it's from the heart. I mean, I look back at so many. I'll tell you what. The very last show, watching every single moment of the 4 individuals who were leaving the show that night. That was their last performance, and thinking about all those moments that we built together in the rehearsal room, all those moments that we workshop at a music stand and that were just sort of a brainchild of Lynn's, and then suddenly they were manifesting, and it's a long road that we went on together, and we went through a lot together. And so that was just my way of loving on them and giving, fans of the show a little peek into those relationships.
Well, you have also not been quiet on social media about issues that matter to you that are a little less positive, specifically bullying.
Yes.
And I think that you have this incredible balance of gratitude and an outpouring of love, and also not being afraid to take people to task when they have done something that you feel doesn't fit into the kind of moral landscape of love that should be out there in the way that we support each other. Yeah. There was a video that was posted this morning, a Blue Shirt Day video,
yes.
Which is a partnership with Stomp Out Bullying.
Yes.
Can you talk about your involvement with them a little bit?
That's just begun. I didn't expect this. I knew I would be doing that piece for them, and sort of, in my mind, it was just going to be a little plug to support the organization. And then they asked me to be a sort of global, face for the thing, and that's an honor, because I'll preface this by saying I'm human and I'm not perfect, and I've been the bully in my life, right? We all have. We've all had situations where we've acted in a way that made someone else feel small. We've all done it. But the thing is to recognize it, right? Own up to it. And if you know better, you do better, right? So don't repeat the mistake. And so
I want to put that on a T-shirt, by the way. You know better, you do better, so don't repeat the mistake. That's amazing.
Well, because that's really where my voice comes from on social media when it comes to bullying, is to help. First of all, there are so many young people on social media whose parents aren't always able to monitor their daily use or protect them from each and every interaction. That's virtually impossible. So we really depend on the platforms themselves to do a good job to protect the youth who are using their social media platforms. But I hope in associating with Stomp Out Bullying and being very vocal about it, it's not something that the person who is being bullied will feel they need to be quiet about it, because that happens a lot too, is you get bullied and you sort of shut down and you don't want to talk about the thing. But you really should be talking about the thing, because it shouldn't have happened in the first place. Right. And so I am very vocal about it, and I hope by doing so, it's sort of feeding the discourse about it, and hopefully just uncovering it, making the conversation happen, and awakening everybody to the power they have to protect themselves, to protect each other, and how it's so easy, the power of our words. It's so easy to hurt one another. So sort of being conscious about how we use our words.
Well, mark your calendars. October 3rd is Blue Shirt Day.
It sure is. Go blue with me.
Yeah, so wear a blue shirt on October 3rd.
Yes.
You are also a very vocal advocate for your friends and the projects that they care about.
Oh, yeah.
I've been reading about this film called Invisible that was created by some friends of yours, which is all about illnesses that cannot be seen from the outside. Yeah. You have spoken very openly about your own struggles with illness over the last decade and just in the recent year. Yes. And I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that film and its importance to you.
Thank you. So the film is called Invisible, and the website is invisible-film.com, and it does focus on the struggle that an individual goes through. And what's that saying, that you never know what battle a person is fighting. And everyone is, right? Whether it's something personal or it's a health-related issue. But you don't have to see it to just know that every human being is walking on this planet dealing with something. And so when it comes to this specific thing, this specific idea of an illness, a health issue that you can't see on your skin, you don't wear it, but it's happening internally. And that's a fight that people actually have. And there's, for instance, if you are taking medications for whatever it is that you're dealing with, and you haven't shared your health status with anyone, but you're having an allergic reaction to the medication, and you don't want to say what the situation is, how do you even engage in that conversation? Because we have so much stigma around being unhealthy, and what does that even mean? And so, you know, because I can sit here and say, HIV positive for almost 14 years, and I'm perfectly healthy. Okay? So, it's that kind of shift in the language and a shift in how we label things and the stigma placed on things that don't belong there, because we have enough that we carry day in and day out, and releasing that, right? So it's a wonderful project. You could check out the website. You could buy a T-shirt. The proceeds go to keep funding the film. I believe in it very much. There's a good friend involved in this, and she has actually been my nutritionist for a short period of time, and she's someone who is a strong advocate for helping bring light to so many things that we need to shed, and so many wonderful like shifts that we can make to make ourselves both inside and out healthier.
And as individuals and as a community,
Exactly.
I feel. And community is so important to me, and I know to you. And I want to just take the opportunity to publicly say thank you, specifically about your openness about your HIV status. I think that by nature of your position in the community, both on Broadway and in pop culture as a whole, because of the status that Hamilton has, you are, I think, to kids and adults across the world, most of whom have never met you, their very first friend who they know, a person they know who is HIV positive. And by the nature of the fact that they want to be close to you and to be a part of your life, they have no choice but to accept that part of you, and that means that they will accept everyone else and anyone else who comes into their life who is HIV positive.
That's precisely why I did it.
I think that you have changed the world. I know that in your theatrical career, there is a famous story about how you almost gave it all up, and then you found In the Heights, and you became Lin-Manuel Miranda's right-hand man, and you have kind of been his surrogate for the last, decade or so.
Yes.
I want to actually go back before that and find out how the seeds of theater bloomed within you.
Well, okay, so everyone in my family is creative. Everyone has some skill that they do, right? Like my father is a visual artist, painting, and is specifically. One of my brothers is a musician. The other one danced. The other one was also a visual artist and a music engineer. And so there was just art everywhere in growing up, but no one pursued it professionally. And so it was never encouraged as a professional choice.
Was it discouraged?
No, it just was something that we did, right? They brought me to classes that were arts and crafts classes and sculpting classes and all sorts of. I was exposed to the arts all through my childhood, but it was never the thing we talked about when we talked about, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? So I was a big science nerd, complete science geek. I still am. And that was the practical thing, right? Because of course my parents wanted me to do something that would allow me to have more than what they had, right? And so that's what I pursued until high school, and I went to Edward R. Murrow High School in Brooklyn. And what? Yeah, really?
Yeah, Brooklyn.
No way! Oh, that's so cool. Oh!
There's someone with a Murrow High School t-shirt in the back. I love it.
Okay, so yeah, I went to Murrow, and it's sort of like a magnet school, right? So its structure is untraditional, right? Is that a word? Untraditional? Non-traditional.
Non-traditional.
There we go. And so you had the option to have focuses in your 4 years there. So I actually went. They have an astronomy program there. They actually have a planetarium in the school. And that was my focus when I started freshman year, but my friends were in the theater program. And so after school one day, I left the library and I was walking to the auditorium, which is where we did the plays and everything, and they were in rehearsal. And I would meet my friends and then we'd take the bus home together. And so I'm sitting, I'm sitting in the back of the house. They're doing Annie Get Your Gun, Sun in the Morning, Moon at Night. And it's the house is dark. The stage is lit, and they're all in costume. My friends are actually in the number, so it's stop and go, and I'm just sitting there, and there's no one around me. The director's down front, and I'm I'm just watching, thinking, well, this looks cool. This looks fun. And so the next show that they did was The King and I, and you're allowed to audition for the shows, even though that wasn't your focus, right? So I auditioned, and I got cast as an Amazon guard who stood like this the entire time and never said a word and never sang a note, and I completely changed my focus. I was in love with theater from that point forward, and no one was going to tell me anything otherwise.
That's amazing. And it seems to me like that may have actually been good practice for standing in the wings for a year, performing once a week. If you knew that you could love theater, not singing a note,
right,
and just standing there still, what perfect training to be the standby.
That's a very good point. And to sort of tag on that, we did a production of Little Shop of Horrors, and my grades were so poor I couldn't get cast in the show. Ooh. I wasn't the best student in high school. It was college when I actually started to do my homework. But we were doing Little Shop, and I couldn't get cast, but I wanted so badly to be part of it. Mm-hmm. So they put me on props detail and stage management. So I was an assistant stage manager, and I did props, and it was the closest I could get to. I was there. I was on stage. I was involved in the show, and that's what mattered.
I've heard an amazing story about how you, in the early 90s, saw John Cameron Mitchell and Debbie Harry in the Meatpacking District.
I sure did.
And how that led to some writing and sort of inspired you creatively. Can you tell that story?
Oh, yeah, man. I love this story. So there used to be, pre-Giuliani, before he went on a tirade to close down all of the gay clubs and bars in the 90s, there was a bar called Squeeze Box, and it was downtown in the Meatpacking District, and that was at a time where it didn't look like what it looks like now at all. You had to know where to go. It was definitely like a seedier part of town, and Friday nights was the gay sort of punk rock night, and so I would go every Friday night with my friends, and lo and behold, one night John Cameron Mitchell comes on stage as the guest. He's testing out, I found out later, he was testing out material for Hedwig, but he does a whole set of what he's written, and mesmerized by this, right? And in the audience is Debbie Harry in like a fabulous blonde wig, and it's just like crazy. It's one of those crazy New York nights that you can't have that anywhere else, right? And it was not too long later that finally Hedwig was playing off-Broadway, and I saw that production. It was with John Cameron Mitchell, and I just, putting two and two together in my memory banks is saying, that's the guy, like that's who I saw, mm-hmm. and this is the music I heard, and not knowing this is what he was doing, but putting that together finally and realizing he was workshopping that material, and here it was on stage, and it was absolutely amazing. And it was, Lynn has this story about Rent. That was sort of my Rent experience, where I looked at that and thought, I can make stories about me, like my voice matters, if that voice matters, and look at this fantastic piece of theater, I matter, right? And so it was inspiring in that moment. And I do write poetry. I don't share it, although I am working. That inspired me. Hedwig inspired me to start a poetry cycle that I've been writing for a very long time, and I stop and I start and I stop and I start. I judge it harshly. I do the whole writing thing, I get depressed about it, and then I love it, and all those things. But
you're doing the work, man.
Yeah, exactly. and who knows? Maybe before I die, I'll actually share it with people, but we'll see.
I hope you do. I mean, just selfishly. Yeah. But I also think there's something so beautiful about doing it for yourself. That reminds me of the fact that you have planted a garden above the marquee at the Richard Rogers Theater,
Yes.
which I have heard you call an opportunity for mindfulness and nourishment for
Yes.
everyone involved in the production.
Yes.
I think that's so beautiful. I don't really have a question about it,
Oh,
but if you want to say anything about it, this is a good opportunity for that.
Oh, that's awesome. It came from when I got back to the theater, and we're talking, post treatment and all that stuff. I was so focused on physically getting back. I wasn't dealing with me, with my heart, with my mind, with everything coming back to work. And I pushed.
This is after some cancer treatment that
Yes.
you went. We talked about your HIV status, but you also fought cancer this year.
Yes, and last year.
Last year.
Yes.
And when did you get back?
I got back middle of January. And so towards the end of winter, we're talking like February, March, I start really feeling the weight of pushing my body really hard to get back to the show that I didn't want to lose. And but not yet dealing with finding peace after the experience. And I toyed with what's something that I could do at the theater that could be methodical, that could be a habit and a structure of focus and calm for me, right? And I tried meditating, and it was okay. It wasn't enough because I couldn't always meditate when I needed to, right? Because we were working and doing so much in the theater, and there was so much hustle and bustle that I couldn't always find the time and the space for it. So I wanted to create a space for it. And the first thing I thought of was a garden. My mother is just 20,000 green thumbs. She can look at a seed and it will grow. It's ridiculous. And so it's always sort of been there. And I thought, I've learned so much about that from my mom. Why not take my hand, try my hand at it? And so I did. I talked to Tim as our house manager, and I talked to Tim and asked him if that would be something I could do and if it was cool. And I sort of, emailed him all my ideas about size and where to put it. And we thought about putting it on the roof, but there was not enough easy access to water, so we did the marquee because you could just climb right out there. And he gave me the green light. And man, I went for it. It's become a place where a lot of our crew and some cast will just come and have lunch there between shows, or sit there while they're making their phone calls, or just be near it sometimes. It's helped me. It's one of those things where, as cheesy as it sounds, the metaphor really is true. I'm helping something grow, and that nurturing, the act of nurturing, is really healing, and so that's what's behind it.
You're amazing. We're going to take some questions from the audience, but first I just want to say, so I got to see you perform this week, and it was actually a year to the day after the first time I saw you perform as Hamilton, which was your very first Broadway experience. I was in the audience, or your first Broadway performance as Hamilton.
As Hamilton, yeah.
I was in the audience the day President Obama was there.
Oh, yes.
And then I got to come back exactly a year later to see you again. Can you just, in a couple of sentences, if you can make it that brief, talk about how your relationship with Hamilton, the character and the show, has evolved over that year?
Gosh, well, it's just deepened. It's become richer, and it's a lot to do with not just the way it's written, but the people I share the stage with. And as those relationships personally deepen, so do the onstage relationships. And there also comes a point where Hamilton is a huge role, and you, as the actor approaching it, there's just this constant looking at the mountain and not wanting to even start climbing because it's just such a huge mountain. And finally getting to the point where oh, I got this. I know where that foothold is. I know where to grab that rock. I know where to, tighten the rope and, pull, whatever. It's you just sort of understand the navigation of it, and it's not so fearful. And so that allows the creativity to get really rich and really deep, and try new things and let it grow.
Whose specter looms larger, Alexander Hamilton's or Lin-Manuel Miranda's?
Well, I mean, Lynn, because I'm alive now. You know, this is now. We're here now, and we're venturing. Every day is absolutely unwritten. So he's helping to craft our everyday. So I'd say Lynn.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions in the audience?
Hi.
Hi.
This is originally her question, but she got
A little
really
shy?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Ironically, she's taking theater classes and everything. And she's been on a Murrow stage, by the way.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I teach in the English department there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, her question, so. You sure you don't want me to read it? Okay.
Okay.
Why did you go to a lot of dance classes?
Why did?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I went to a training studio, Cap 21, is where I got my training from, and that was part of the curriculum. It was a mandatory part of the curriculum that I wasn't really overly excited about. It's not necessarily what I wanted to do, but I fell in love with it as I tried and learned. And sort of one of the fundamental ideas that they teach is as a dancer, sort of ballet is your root of everything, right? And I really loathe ballet class because it's just not for me. It's not how I work, right? Like I couldn't wait to get to jazz class or have a hip hop class or something that was like out of the frame. But it was absolutely true. Like I couldn't have done any of those other types of dance without the fundamental of ballet. And it strengthened me and it grounded me. And it also, as an actor, is important that you know how to use your body. And, Alexander technique can teach you stuff like that, but dance really teaches you that too, Every part of your body, owning it, using it, appreciating it, and strengthening it, and all of that. So yeah, it's always been in my life. Yeah.
Hey man, congratulations on stepping into such a legendary role. I know
Thank you.
Everybody's very proud of you.
Thank you.
So we covered the dance moves. I'd like to hear more about your vocals because for me, I know it's going to be a bazillion years before I get the chance to see Hamilton. But everything I've read about you, you're supposed to be a phenomenal singer. So I'd like to know what goes into your vocal technique, and are there particular songs that you might like singing to get you ready for the day?
Oh, great. Well, the groundwork, the root of let me tell you, before I started taking voice classes, my accent was so thick.
Brooklyn accent?
Like Brooklyn accent. My R's couldn't be any harder. It was very unrecognizable. But my very first voice teacher, she was trained in the Lamperti technique. It's an Italian technique, and there's a book, if you're ever curious. It's called Vocal Wisdom, and it's a beautiful read in as far as your relationship with your voice and with technique and with singing. And so that was my foundation. She kicked my butt. Ellie Stone was her name, is her name, I should say. And she was my first voice teacher, and that was the foundation. Everything on top of that, I studied with Wendy Waterman from when I was at Cap 21, and she's now at Juilliard, and that was another layer, a wonderful layer of vocal technique and acting as well. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a huge discipline, just like dance, and it takes dedication, But it's funny because you do all that work only to sort of break the rules later, right? So you need the core fundamentals of things so that you know how to break the rules later without damaging yourself, so that you can get on stage and rap, which wasn't something that was taught at Cap 21, right? You didn't take Rap 101, you know what I mean? So,
You can now, I think.
Maybe now, I don't know. But maybe that's my calling after I retire. I'll teach. But there's you have that core structure so you could break the rules later, and now to warm up, for Hamilton, I don't like to sing beforehand. I'll warm up, and it's more physical, and I'll do my vocal warm-ups, and I steam a lot. I get a lot of hydration and steam on my chords and my nasal passages and all that good stuff. And it's so demanding that I don't want to use my voice for any other purpose other than the show, because it's going to ask for all of it by the time I'm done. Yeah.
We've got time for a couple more.
Great.
Hi.
Hi.
What advice do you have to beginning actors who are hoping to one day maybe have a career on Broadway?
Okay. Specifically regarding a career on Broadway, I have a twofold answer. The first is how you present yourself, no matter what the gig is, matters, right? You're setting the standard for. I worked at Hershey Park.
I was
and I
hoping
did the
you were
country
going to
show
talk
there.
about this.
I did the country show and the Christmas show in Hershey Park. I also played costume characters there, but you know that's like we can laugh at that, but like that was a serious job for me at the time, right?
No Hershey bar has ever had that much integrity.
I mean, really, there were choices being made. It was really dramatic, but treating everything with integrity, because not only does that make an impression on who you're working amongst and with, but that's teaching yourself that if this really matters to you and you value this thing, then you're going to give every opportunity your all, right? But the second sort of answer to that, because you specifically asked about Broadway, Broadway is wonderful, and that's a wonderful dream to have. It's not the only place to make your dreams come true. There's so many other ways and so many other opportunities that exist regionally, film, you can find satisfaction. Maybe you're a writer, right? Whatever it may be. Maybe you're a really great company manager. Maybe you just really want to interact with the people. Who knows what it is? But and I don't mean to say like not anything with fear, like don't put your eggs all in one basket, but be open. Be open to all the possibilities. I worked at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival for one season. I'd go back in a heartbeat. That's not Broadway, right? It has my heart. So leave yourself open to all the things that may come your way, because you might be surprised what you actually fall in love with.
I think one last one.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering if you had to choose any line from any Hamilton song that you think somehow resonates in your life, which one would it be and why?
Holy moly. Because there's 5 million lines. I think, oh man. Give me one moment to really think about this. I think,
The one that popped into my head for you is, let's go.
sorry, I'm taking too long? Am I taking too long? Okay, sorry.
No, I didn't mean it like
what it
that. I just meant you have so much motivation in your life. I didn't mean it like that. Although that would have been funny.
That would have been awesome, though.
Let's go.
I don't know. I think if I had time to really like really dig deep, I would give you probably a different answer. But I think just right now, the world turned upside down.
That's an excellent one. I think we actually can squeeze in one more question.
Okay, we have one more question from an online viewer. Suzanne in the UK says, I'm coming on 8/20 and wants to know, will I see you again?
Oh, Suzanne.
8:20 is a Saturday.
8/20 is a Saturday. Yes, you will be seeing me on a Saturday. Yes, absolutely.
I do want to say, though, like, I actually know the guy who's the new alternate,
Yes.
Michael Iwoye, and he is amazing.
Yeah.
So if you do
Oh,
come
yeah.
on a day you don't see Javi, you will see somebody who is incredible.
Yes, that is the truth. Yes.
Okay, so to sum up, I would like to say directly to you that I do not see a man who is defined by his medical status. I see a man who is determined to overcome every obstacle in his life. I do not see a man who is defined by who he replaced on Broadway, but a man who stands with integrity on that stage, with honesty, who listens and thinks and embodies that character every night. And I don't see a man who is defined by his profession, but by his dedication to the love in his heart and spreading that to everyone he encounters in his life. It has been a true honor to have you here, Javi, and I hope that you are around for many, many years to come.